In order to be able to navigate the seas, sailors have been relying on astronavigation since the mid-1700s. This was made possible because of two tools, the sextant and the marine chronometer. While the specifics of how they work are beyond the scope of this review, it is sufficient to say that very accurate timekeeping was necessary. Mastering flight took a few more centuries, but by the time World War II rolled around, the British Air Force found itself needing rapid advances in navigation technology. With time, the flight navigator was furnished with a plexiglass astrodome, specially developed bubble sextant, and a not-so-accurate watch. The end of World War II led to a number of changes in the world, spanning the gamut from the start of the Cold War to advances in radar technology. These changes, not surprisingly, motivated the Ministry of Defense to design a new navigator's watch standard. This was known as the Mark 11 or reference 6B/346. The requirements were the following. 1. A high-grade Swiss movement capable of plus-minus 4 seconds a day accuracy. 2. Hacking function. 3. 36-hour power reserve. 4. The ability to be waterproof to 20 feet. 5. The ability to be anti-magnetic via soft iron, dust cover, and dial. 6. An acrylic crystal that was held by a retaining screw to prevent it from coming loose during decompression. And 7, initially anyway, attachment to a bonklip bracelet. The requirements were sent to goldsmiths and silversmiths, a London jeweler, who in turn notified various watch companies. IWC and JLC ended up getting the contract. Both watches were extremely high quality and used their respective in-house movements. The JLC used a caliber 488 SBR with hacking ability and a Breguet overcoil. That's what the S and BR stand for, respectively. It was released in 1949 before being discontinued in 1953. It's believed that the reason for this was the lack of shock protection. A total of 2,950 were made, and they were sold to both the Royal Air Force and the Royal Australian Air Force. Interestingly enough, the 488 SBR was also used in the JLC Geophysique and the Vacheron Chronometer Royal as a base movement. All JLC Mark 11s were decommissioned in the early 60s. It's believed that no civilian versions were made. As stated before, the IWC also came with its own high-quality in-house movement, the caliber 89. More than 8,000 movement numbers have been identified as Mark 11s. Moreover, 1,000 were even sold for civilian use in 1973 and 1984. Like the JLC, the IWC had a Breguet spring and hacking capability. The watch was decommissioned in the early 80s. Due to the high standards set for the Mark 11, all watches were sent to the chronometer workshop at the Royal Greenwich Observatory for acceptance testing, which consisted of timing the watch in 5 positions and varying temperatures for 16 days. Eventually, they also began servicing them. This test was repeated after maintenance was done to these watches as well. The servicing interval was from 12 to 18 months. Outside the RAF and the RAAF, it is believed that the Royal New Zealand and South African Air Forces also made Mark 11 purchases. On the civilian front, British Overseas Airways corporations, and possibly other aviation companies, used them as well. Strap-wise, initially they came attached to a bonklip bracelet to allow for easy fitting over a jacket. Unfortunately, the bracelet could only be removed during servicing. As such, eventually a 2-loop nylon strap was introduced. These were never issued with a leather strap, and you'll have to forgive me for my sad Mark 12 recreation pictured here. In conclusion, I just wanted to present this information out there to collectors who are not familiar with these watches. Even with high prices, these models can still be appreciated for their technology and history, even if you don't own them. It's a pretty far cry from the Beverly Hills Navy SEALs limited editions that we see today. And lastly, you will now be a hit at parties by knowing that the British military stopped using Roman numerals after World War II, so their version is written with an Arabic 11. The Australians, however, continued using Roman numerals. Well, that's about it for this review, and as usual, thanks for watching.